everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for this video, I originally wanted to go to the bookshop and I wanted to buy loads of new books. I'm very low on books that I own that I want to read, so I thought it was about time I went to the bookshop and got some new books. However, I'm moving house in about 1 or 2 weeks now, and my boyfriend was like, Chantal, please don't buy any more books because we're only going to have to transport them over there and you're going to be the one who's going to have to carry it. And I was like, do you know what? That's a fair point. So what I have done instead is I have delved into my boyfriend's collection of books to find some that I want to read. So you can see this bookshelf here behind me. This is a combination of both mine and my boyfriend's books. I feel like you can tell my books, they're all like the nice coloured ones. And then my boyfriend's are a bit more of like the serious coloured ones. I feel like my boyfriend has a really good taste in books, but his is slightly different to mine in the sense that he likes a lot of like American classics. He's got a lot of American authors on here and they do differ a bit from my taste. We do like a lot of similar books. We both like fantasy and there's loads of books that we've read together that we both do really like. So I do trust his taste in books. So I thought I will have a little look on the bookshelf and see if there's anything that catches my eye. And just on a side note, I am so excited to move house and properly organise my books. At the minute, they are all just thrown in any which way, a mix between my boyfriend's and mine, and I am so excited to get to the new house, properly organise them and make them look so nice, have like a TBR shelf. I just can't wait for it. But in the meantime, I have had a little look through the bookshelves and I have found 3 books from my boyfriend's collection that I really want to read. So the first one is actually one that I wanted to buy anyway. And when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not know that we already own this book? And that book is this one. It is Stoner by John Williams. And this book has been doing the rounds, I feel like, and people seem to love this book. I have not heard one single bad review about it. I've heard it's quite a quiet book about a man named William Stoner who doesn't have a particularly outrageous life or anything groundbreaking, but I think it discusses sort of the beauty and importance of everyone's lives, which I love the sound of. So I am really excited to read this book and I'm so glad I actually looked through my boyfriend's collection to find out that he had this one. So I think I will read this one first as I am really excited to read it, and like I said, I was gonna buy it anyway. And then next up is one that my boyfriend read quite recently last year and he absolutely loved it, and it is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I remember when my boyfriend read this book, I remember him telling me how much he loved it. I remember him reading little excerpts out to me and saying, you have to read it. So I'm finally going to get round to reading this book, and how nice is that cover? I thought it was just such a nice cover. And this book is about mythology. I think it's Norse mythology this one's about, but I've been reading Circe and Song of Achilles, which are both Greek mythology retellings, which I've absolutely loved. And obviously they are from the same author, Madeline Miller. So I'm really excited for someone else to write about mythology and see how they do it. I know that Neil Gaiman is really known for it and really good at it. So I'm very excited to read this book. I will quickly let you know what it's about. It is the story of Shadow, released from prison just days after his wife and best friend are killed in an accident, who gets recruited to be bodyguard, driver and errand boy for the enigmatic trickster, Mr. Wednesday. So begins Shadow's dark and strange road trip, one that introduces him to a host of eccentric characters whose fates are mysteriously intertwined with his own. I'm really excited for this one. I hope there's some really strong characters in there that I love. I love the sound of a road trip as well. I think that'd be really fun. So yeah, overall, I think this sounds like a really good book, and I'm really excited to read some of Neil Gaiman's work because I know he is so respected. So yeah, really excited to get to this one. And then finally, the final book I'm going to be reading in this vlog is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. Now, I'm sure you have all heard this book. It is a bit of a classic. I've never read it before and I am very intrigued to read it. I feel like it's one of those books that you have to read. I feel like everyone knows about it and it's one of those ones, yeah, you just have to read. So this book, it just says, On the road swings to the rhythms of 1950s underground America, jazz, sex, generosity, chill dawns, and drugs. So I'm excited to read about 1950s America. I've not read many books set in that time and place, so I'm really excited to read something a bit different for me, and hopefully I love it because I know that so many people really enjoy this book. So they are the 3 books that I'm going to read in this reading vlog, and I will let you know what I think of each one. So it is quite some time later. It is probably about a week and a half after I last spoke to you, and I finished all 3 of the books, and I was so surprised by the outcome. I literally loved all of them. All of them were either 4 or 5 stars. So I was super surprised by that because I thought I would find them maybe a bit boring, a bit serious, but I just genuinely thought they were such good books. So I'll talk you through them. I don't have the first one with me, which is Stoner, because if you could see the mess that is beside me. We are moving house, like this whole video is based on, and we are in the thick of it. So that book is currently packed away, unfortunately. So the first book, Stoner, is a really beautifully quiet book. It's about a man named William Stoner, who is an English professor. He's quite a quiet man, quite a reserved man, and it basically just talks about his life from when he was really young to when he dies. And it was just such a beautifully written book, sort of about your everyday person. There was nothing like crazily exciting that happened. It was definitely more character driven. What I would say about all 3 of these books, they were all so character driven rather than plot driven, and I really enjoyed that. I always thought I really had to be carried by the plot, but these 3 books, all 3 of them, have really proven to me that I just love character driven books, and that's what makes me really get connected to a book and really love a book. And I think that separates the 3 stars from like the 4, 5-star books. So I've really loved discovering that for this challenge. But yeah, back to Stoner. I just really loved it. I thought William Stoner was such a great character. I thought his wife was awful. I didn't like her at all. I actually found their relationship really frustrating to read about. They just obviously did not get on. It was a loveless marriage, but also really interesting to see how their relationship developed over the years as newlyweds to then sort of living together as a married couple, but not in love or anything. So I found that really interesting to read about, and it was just a really great book. I highly recommend it. Like I said, a super quiet book, but you get to really know William Stoner as a person, and I just loved it. So I gave that book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I highly recommend it. Like I said before, it's been getting a lot of hype recently, and I can completely see why. It's such a great little book. So yeah, love that one. Then the second book that I read, I do have, it is American Gods by Neil Gaiman, and oh my goodness, I loved this book so much. It's a hefty one, it is a hefty one, but I just didn't even notice. Like, it was such a great book, and I enjoyed literally every second of reading it. I cannot wait to read more from Neil Gaiman. I love his writing style, and if you haven't read anything from him, please do, because I just thought it was such a great book and so imaginative. It's about a man named Shadow who is released from prison, and this man named Mr. Wednesday recruits him immediately to work from him. And it's all a bit mysterious, but basically the premise is that there are all these gods all over the world. There's the old traditional ones, like harking back to Odin and Loki and all of the traditional ones that we know about, but then also really modern ones like to do with technology, and it's like about what people worship. But when people start to forget about certain gods, they will die and disappear. So many gods in time that we've forgotten about, no longer talk about, don't know about anymore. And in this story, because they're not being spoken about anymore, they then die. And I just thought that was such an imaginative storyline, talking about old gods and new things that we now worship. But all the characters, I loved reading about all the different American settings. There's one setting where it was like a really little small town. It's freezing cold in America, and I just really loved it so much. I found it really interesting reading about all the different gods, both old and new, and how they're sort of at war together. And I loved the magical realism elements of this book. I thought that worked so well. Like there's a point in the book where they go like backstage, which is so interesting. I just thought it was really, really well done. And I really loved Neil Gaiman's writing. I thought because it was about so many different gods that it'd be really inaccessible to me, but it wasn't at all. I think it was really well explained. Just like I said, really imaginative. And I am excited to read more from Neil Gaiman because this was a 5 out of 5 star book for me. Like I loved it so much. And then finally, the final book is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. And again, I love this book. Similarly to American Gods, there's lots of road trip elements, although this one is basically all road trip. The two main characters in this story are called Dean and Sal, but I do believe, I was speaking to my boyfriend about it and he said that Sal is actually Jack Kerouac and Dean is his other friend who he changed the name of. But I think it's been re-released with their actual names because now they've both passed away. And on the front cover, this is Jack Kerouac and this is his friend. So they're the two main characters. And Dean in the character is a loose cannon. He is just wild, got so much energy here, there and everywhere. And I think Sal sort of looks up to him and wants to follow him and his adventures. And they both have this real itch to get away and explore and hitchhike. And a lot of it is them hitchhiking across America or driving this old rickety car that breaks down. They get themselves into so many predicaments, so many sticky situations. And it's basically just about young, carefree people wanting to go explore, not wanting responsibilities, just wanting to go have a good time and see the world, which I really loved. This book is really chaotic, but intentionally so. Like Dean, like I said, is just such a chaotic character and he just brings chaos wherever he goes. There are lots of different characters that come in and out of this book, but these two are the main ones that sort of stick together throughout. Yeah, like I said, Sal really looks up to Dean and they go on loads of adventures together across America. And if you're looking for a book to give you that sort of sense of adventure and that young, carefree spirit, then I definitely recommend this book. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, really, really liked it. So I would say, in general, that was a huge success. So maybe once we've moved house, I should go through my boyfriend's bookshelf again and get some more books because I honestly loved all of them. I don't tend to veer towards those like male author, set in America, classic books, but I really, really enjoyed it as something really different to read for me. And I love that American setting in all of them. So yeah, big success. I'm so glad I did this. Though I am so excited to go to the bookshop and get some more books for myself. So hopefully I can do that soon once we've moved and all this chaos around me is gone because it's a lot, guys. It's a lot. I'm currently in 2 jumpers as well, so don't judge me. It's freezing currently. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video.